And the... Oh...
Well, at least now he's perfectly positioned.
Oh no, the plow, fuck.
Deja vu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to blow. Going new, and the search is a mystery.
What's up, dudes? It's your boy Kygo, aka Tuero Sniper 98. Welcome back to another FGO meme. Hope you like this new format, cause you're kinda stuck with it now. Caster is, you guessed it, a 5-star caster, debuting with Summer 2. Little did you know that this event was secretly a business collaboration with Tenga to give them a new promotional mascot. J-List might also want to cash in on this too. Kantai Collection Enthusiast is a hybrid DPS caster, though just barely, with a lot more emphasis on DPS than on support, which should be obvious if you just take one look at her massive guns. Bitches love cannons, as they say. And in case it still isn't obvious yet, her kit should help convince you. 50% battery, 3-turn 30% attack buff, a targetable 3-turn 50% attack buff, a near automata deck, and above average MP gen. Let's go down the list. Her raw MP gen stat theoretically isn't good, sitting at only 0.4%. But because hit counts are everything in this game, having 2 arts cards that hit fucking 6 times each makes what should have been a pretty shitty MP gen stat into a pretty decent one. Throw in her Territory Creation A+ passive that boosts arts performance by 11% for free, and you get a DPS caster with the potential to charge her MP a lot more easily than most DPS casters have any business doing, unless your name is Sanzo. And as if her MP gen wasn't good enough, Adult Iroha has a 50% battery, and y'all already know what I think about those thick-ass 50% batteries. But wait, there's more! DW decided to channel their inner Billy Mays and gave her battery an additional 3-turn 50% MP generation buff. But it only kicks in if Nero's HP is less than 50%. That's why the icon for her MP gen buff is grayed out a little if her HP is still over 50% at the time that you popped it. We'll get back to this conditional effect, but theoretically, if it's active, Nero's MP gen goes through the fucking roof so fast, Snoop Dogg's don't want to hang out with her. 7 Crowns is an interesting skill. It buffs her attack and defense by 30% and neutralizes all incoming ADV damage that she takes all for 3 turns. You know who'd really like this skill? Her Romanian uncle. Do note that it only negates the ADV damage that Nero herself takes. Any damage that she deals out is still subject to class ADV, so if you think that you can still get away with attacking riders with her, you might want to reconsider that. Because of this is more of an anti-alter ego skill since it negates their 50% ADV against her, and even more so of an anti-Zerk skill since Nero almost gets full class ADV against them for 3 turns, which is pretty convenient. Her third skill is her only utility, but it's a pretty loaded one with a 3-turn 50% attack buff and a 3-turn guts on top of it. So if Nero herself doesn't need the attack buff, she can give it to someone else who needs it more, like say someone with their own 50% attack buff of a different type, so that it stacks hilariously well. The guts is nice too, but it leaves whoever uses it with only 1 HP. Useful for trying to pull off Mayo Boy memes with Chinese or Ash. Looking at her skill effects together, you should start to see that Bongo is actually kind of a survivalist DPS caster. What do I mean by that? Well, if her HP is less than 50%, what she can do is pop all 3 skills at once, on herself of course. This gives her maximum MP gen, max self buff damage, guts to give her a lifeline in case anything happens, and even defensive ADV negation, all for 3 turns. So in other words, she can potentially give herself max damage output and max defense when she dips below 50% HP. Interestingly, this is also where her third passive comes into play. Even if it only gives a 10% heal bonus, it emphasizes her playstyle as a survivalist caster just a bit more, since it means that she can better stay alive if she's got teammates or default MC to keep her patched up. Or in even simpler terms, she becomes an absolute fucking unit for 3 turns. Kinda like Nero waifu actually, which makes a lot of sense because they're both waifus. Does that mean people who waifu Nero are actually the biggest brains in the entire player base? And don't forget about the free 20% MP damage damage buff on her MP itself as its overcharge. Did someone say ass farming? One of the two things that she's really missing is a buster buff, which stings a little bit because she's a DPS caster and she can bust a Brave Chain. It's okay though, she's kinda already got one of her own in the form of her tits. And now you know the most important reason why DW made her a buster meme. The other thing that she's missing, which hurts a bit more, is the lack of an MP interlude buff. Now that they've given Tifa an MP buff of her own, hopefully DW will make it a point to give Summer Servants more MP interlude buffs. Or maybe they feel like they don't need to because Pixiv gives them plenty of interludes already. And even though I did call her a survivalist caster, that's not necessarily the same as a tanky caster, if that makes any sense. A tanky servant specifically has tools in their kit designed to keep themselves or others alive. NeroCaster doesn't have that, except for her guts maybe, and doesn't have remarkably high HP herself either, so she isn't what I'd call tanky in the same sense. And besides, she's more interested in punching people in the face rather than getting punched. It's more that she can give herself a 3-turn window where she can go sicko mode and spam her MP like she's about to turn into a beast, which makes a lot of sense actually because she's a freaking beast at farming. So Tenga Girl has a solid DPS profile and a flex 3rd skill for a chunk of support. She definitely goes against the usual norm for casters who usually straddle the spectrum of dedicated support or support hybrid, but having an SSR Buster caster is obviously a huge asset in farming assassins whenever you need to. Sorry, huge assets. The only thing that's mechanically out of place in her skill, in my opinion, is her writing skill, since she only has one quick card and Star Gen isn't what I'd call a strong point on her. It's okay though, we know why she has writing, and as we've just discussed now, it's definitely not for her one quick card. Since adult Sakura doesn't know how to pick a proper teammate for herself given Malter's kit, it's up to you to do that job for her. You'll want to team her up with people who can provide heals and sustain. She already has damage buffs out the ass, so if you want to give her a damage support, try to give her someone with a party or targetable buster buff. Oh hey, would you look at that? What an easy fucking game! Alternatively, you can let your choice of CEs on Big Bongos handle the buster buff that she needs for her damage. You can run First Sunrise or Sexy Gil for easy farming, or run Super Scope or Black Grail for max farming memes with Wavy Boy. If you're not a dirty fucking whale, use your choice of 50% charge CEs like Sumo or Meridian if you're a true free-to-play pleb, or an event CE that gives buster damage like Ellie's Adventure or something. Don't bother with her Bond CE. Other than the usual shitty stats on it, it's a 10% party buster and MP gen buff, which is awkward on Nero to say the least, cause she's too much of a DPS to carry a CE that's mainly support. You're better off with a DPS CE, no question. So NeroCaster's a hybrid DPS bordering on hard DPS with the ability to nuke AoE Zerks and assassins alike, or potentially anything else that isn't a ruler or a rider. She's also a survivalist DPS who can potentially go Super Saiyan for 3 turns and crank out MPs like Comet Kit cranks out dojins of her. Give her Cock Wizard for support to carry on the Saberface tradition, try not to use a Tenga whenever she's around, and leave her on 3rd Ascension because long hair Nero is fucking godlike. And that's all you need to know about Kantai's new pasta boat. Hey Yostar, where them pasta boats at? Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the Flappy Butt video that I should have put out before this one, and until next time, deuces.